so I have a little bit more freedom and flexibility with social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're right, because when you look at something and it says, you know, financially wise women, you know, that's the perfect name for it, to attract women who either are financially wise or who want to become financially wise. So that in itself will attract the person to say, wait a minute, let me see what that's about.
Yeah.
You know, and then they get there and you've got all of this free information, you know, that people for so long have just held close to the vest, you know, and not wanted to share unless you came and sat down and had an appointment with them and brought all your financials in. And, you know, where you're just giving free advice and you're saying, hey, you know, when you want to sit down one-on-one, you know, come on over to my place, you know. But until then, here's all this information. And I think it's brilliant because they get comfortable with the idea of finance before they ever sit down with you. So there's a lot less to unpack when they actually get there.
It's so true.
Right?
And I tell advisors all the time. I was just a few weeks ago speaking at various conferences to other financial planners and advisors. And I told them, give it all away for free.
Right.
Because honestly, Google is out there.
Yeah.
Right.
People can Google all of these
Anything.
things.
Yeah.
We are not we don't have anything special, you know, that they can't access if they really wanted it. They could find it. They could read a book. They could look on Google, find the information.
That's right.
The reality is your value comes from being able to explain it, teach it, hold them accountable.
Exactly.
Hold their hand when they're having that challenge emotionally with money. Thank you. I like holding your hand.
I like holding your hand too.
Warm in that rock.
Oh,
though.
Yeah. Cubic zirconia. Keep going.
But you know, the value, and that was all new. Like, this technology is changing the game, and it's
Exactly.
being able just to stay up with it and innovate with it and not be afraid to give it all away for free. I mean, honestly, it took me even a while to learn, you know, something I would normally charge for, I'm just going to put it out there. But yes, you do, because they still come to me, like you said,
That's
because
right.
they've now been a part of the tribe and felt my value this whole time, that when they
Exactly.
need that personal advice, they're going to think, oh, now it's time to work with her one-on-one.
I don't remember the author, but I read a book by the guy that wrote The Purple Cow.
Oh, Seth Godin.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
saying to give away free
Give it all
information and
away.
free knowledge, and then you make yourself like indisposable in the industry.
Yeah.
But and it's interesting too, and we've talked about this a million times, is that if you parallel it to any other industry, like for example, if you play a sport and you have a coach, and you can the same thing, all the different techniques and all the training and all of that stuff. I'm sure it's all Googleable. And you can find all of that information for yourself and do it yourself. But there's really something to be said for someone that not only is a professional and an expert on the topic or
Right.
whatever it is, but that can hold your hand through it,
Yeah.
and also that can get you to that information faster, because everyone is so different. That actually reminds me, I had a question about, because we were looking at your website and your blog and
Right.
everything, and I saw a million different things that I wanted you to expound on. So anyways, one of the terms that I saw that you used a couple times in your blog that I was curious about was financial personality, I think it was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I read on it a little bit, but can you expound a little bit on that?
Yes. So financial personality is key. So one of the main things I always tell people when they first start to pursue the financially wise life is to get clear about your money story and your money personality. So, for example, your money story is all your past experiences with money leading up to right now, from the first money memory you've ever had, which, by the way, let me tell you, I have this class called the Money Class. It's an online course, and I walk people through this activity to go through their money story. And my first money memory was when I was 3 years old. I had this Cabbage Patch. Remember that?
Yeah.
Cabbage Patch piggy bank. And I just remember a bag of pennies and putting them in there. I went to visit my mom a few weeks ago, and she gave me my Cabbage Patch piggy bank. And she had saved it. And I told her, oh, my God, Mom, I don't know if you know this, because she tries to keep up with everything I do. But I told her, I talk about this thing all the time with clients, you know, in workshops. And she goes, oh, great. Yeah, I've kept it for you. And so it was so fun. But that was my first money memory, and it was exciting. And I just was doing that. But then you want to go through this and put down as many memories as you have. Sometimes they're bad memories. Like maybe you got yourself into financial trouble and like were broke or had to take on debt, and that caused like shame or anxiety or fear or something, you know. So all of these different things are shaping how we're dealing with money today and the scripts we tell ourselves about money. And so many of us are unaware of it. You know, our parents may have been fighting at the dinner table one night and said, oh, we're broke and you can't afford that. And now all you do is think you're broke all the time. And you're staying stuck in that pattern in your financial life. So the story is important to get all these experiences. And then you look at, how is my money personality now? So what am I doing with this story? Am I avoiding my money? Like, am I an avoider? Am I hoarding my money? Am I saving my money? Am I spending my money? Like, an example might be if your parents were super frugal, you might have this need in your adult life to like rebel, and you're just like spending like crazy because all growing up you were told no, we have no money, and so you just want to completely rebel and do your own thing. Or maybe money was so scary and there's so much fear and different experiences like that growing up that you just avoid and push it away and procrastinate. And so that's your personality, to just like push it away. So all of these things, we all have money personalities, and we can have split personality.
Personality disorders.
We have more than one, and maybe one in one area. But the thing is, when you're more aware, just self-aware in general in life, then you can have that like clarity to change it if you don't like it. Oh, I see I'm doing this thing again with my money. Let me decide to pause and like readjust and think a new thought or do a new pattern or behavior instead of going to this repeat one that I've been doing up until this point, not knowing. So it is key. Like the personality is huge.
So good. I got so much value, by the way, out of you just saying that. And just like, I don't know if any of our listeners or viewers or anything can identify, but I know for me, something that's always been confusing about money is that I have one older brother who's not that much older than me, and we were raised the exact same way, basically. And me and him have very different financial lives, even still to this day. But I've closed that gap a little bit. But basically, he was really good with money, and I wasn't. And so it's interesting. It's not just the experiences that you've had with money, it's how you react to them and how you shape your life around those experiences and what you start thinking about those experiences. So I personally just got a lot of value out of that. So thank you.
Thank you. And I really like what you said, because it's how we perceive the experiences. Because, it's interesting. I have 3 brothers, too. And to think sometimes, hey, we were all raised by the same parents, right? That's weird. Why are we all so dramatically different? But that's just it. We all have our unique personalities, and our souls are all different. So clearly we're all going to be playing out our lives differently, but self-awareness, and you could just, no one's like born into this world a financially wise person, like no one has more knowledge than others when we're first born with the financial part, but it's just those who become more aware and begin to change it and do different things and maintain those things that get to what we call quote unquote success with money.
And it's like when the light bulb comes on and you think, okay, I've been doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. I need to do something different, right?
Those moments.
Like the light bulb comes on, you're like, wait, okay, I've been spending my money the same way, and that's why I don't have any savings, or I don't have any investments, or whatever it is. The light bulb comes on, and then it's really nice to have someone you can go to and say, okay, what do I need to do from this point on? I've watched the videos, I've read the books, but I need someone to guide me, help me, hold my hand, and that's usually where people are. And they're so afraid to admit it, and they keep hitting that same wall over and over and over again, and you've just made it so user-friendly so that they can pop in that video, or they can go to your YouTube or whatever it is and see the information there and kind of get accustomed to even the language, and then they can come to you, and you're so approachable, they can come to you and know that they're safe, because like you said, we were talking offline, there's a lot of emotion tied to money, a lot of emotion tied to it, and, people feel guilty and bad or whatever if they are not in a position they think they should be in, when we really need to just alleviate all of that and say, no matter where you are, no matter how old you are, stop feeling guilty, stop focusing on that, and just focus on what you really want, and that's the financial knowledge,
And the thing, I feel like the biggest myth with finances is that, we're all have it together.
Right.
And we think, that person over there, they're financially successful and they've never dealt with money fear or doubt or worry or anxiety or shame or guilt. And that's so false. It is so false, because I'm in the industry and I've worked with all types of clients, people with no money, lots of debt, people with lots of money, no debt. It's universal, and no one's immune. And one thing I've actually had to learn, and I keep learning, is I'm not immune. Right. I'm a financial planner. I'm in this industry, but I'm human, just like everybody else. So I have these emotions, and I use these tools that I teach to help overcome, whatever it is, roadblock emotion. But
to help yourself look at it, what is it, objectively instead of subjectively.
Yeah, and I have my own resources, to do that. But that's why I can relate to people, because I always want them to feel safe and comfortable, because when I deal with this stuff, the last thing I want somebody to do is like, well, I told you so, and how dare you? Like, you should feel like the worst person in the world because you have debt or whatever it is, or you haven't invested in your 401k in retirement. I mean, it's like, that's the worst thing, the last thing we want. And I think we're all just self-critical already. So trying to just make it more real and universal and supportive and uplifting versus negative and Debbie Downer is always my goal when working with clients. Yeah.
And and women, when we meet in small groups, the the subject of money always comes up, because we love, in a lot of cases, to shop, so that comes up, and it's like, oh, I went shopping last week and, I spent way too much money and, my credit card's maxed out or whatever. And then there might be someone else who says, oh, well, I don't shop that way. I make sure, so it's all these personalities, and we kind of talk about money in a very general way, but never really in an in-depth way to where questions that should be asked are raised, in such an informal setting. And I always run into women who say, I want to start a women's financial group. Why can't we just start a women's financial group? And that's what I know as a woman we are looking for, and we like to group and kind of talk about things. And so to have someone who can direct at different levels, because everyone's at a different level too, so that can kind of direct at different levels is a great person to have, in the midst too. And do you ever do that? Like, do you speak to women's groups and things like that?
Yes, I love speaking. A big part of my business is actually speaking at different organizations, conferences, workshops, small groups. I mean, I think it's key, and I love being able just to show up and make it conversational and casual, and it's, it doesn't have to be so scary, but really opening up that door for people to talk about these things in a real way, and go vulnerable and expose, their financial situation. So I love being able to be there and be a resource and just that like safety blanket for people. And I, one of the biggest things when I teach workshops is I always say, just ask me your questions, because honestly, if you have a question burning in your mind, I guarantee you everybody in this room has that same question. And if you're just brave enough to ask it, you help everyone here. It's because so we can all learn from each other. I constantly learn from my clients and the people who attend my workshops, how they're doing things, what tips they've found or tools or techniques to manage things. And I think like women in particular, we naturally do that, learn from one another.